brought into question in terms of his toughness, what people were talking about as it pertained to Patrick Beverley being the Hall of Fame pest that he is and annoying the living hell out of Kevin Durant. We wondered whether or not Kevin Durant was going to be his regular diplomatic self on a basketball court, deferring to the likes of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and others, and not doing the kind of things that he's capable of doing, and just take it on the chin. Or whether or not he was going to respond and remind the world why he's universally recognized as one of the top 2 talents in the entire basketball planet. We wondered about Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant could have went Roy Jones and said, y'all must have forgot. But instead he said, you know who I am. Y'all know who I am. And then he stepped on the court last night and in 29 minutes scored 38 points. Finished 14 of 23 shoots from the field, 3 of 10 from three-point range, hit 7 of his 8 free throws. And he was absolutely, positively unstoppable. It's no other way around this. Kevin Durant was something absolutely sensational last night. His first 3 shots. Had a couple of blocks in the first quarter. I mean, when you look at what this brother, it only says he 1 block. I saw 2, but that's neither here nor there. Had 7 assists. Played with his back to basket, played facing the basket, scored on the break. He did it all. Bobbled the ball in one instance and did a fall-away jump shot that was simply unguardable. Hit a 3. That was unguardable. The man is 7 feet tall, 6'11" and 7 feet tall. 7'6" wingspan. 3-point shot, mid-range game. Hits free throws, can put the ball on the floor, can get to the basket, can finish on a break. This is one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen. And even though Kevin Durant didn't want to, and he'll be damned if he's going to ever let anybody tell him what the hell to do or what he should do at this stage and point in his career, it was nice to be reminded that Kevin Durant felt compelled to put everybody on notice. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who I am. He's Kevin Durant.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I am in Florida today giving a speech at Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida. So that is why I'm here. You know why? Because Stevie A loves the kids. He sure does. He sure does. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Dan. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Dan? How are you?
Hi, Stephen A. I'd like to say that before, when LeBron went to the West, I would take the Celtics to come out of the East. I would take the Celtics and Warriors. What do you think?
Well, I was with the Celtics all season long. I haven't jumped off the bandwagon, but I will tell you they've made me nervous because Milwaukee is incredibly formidable as well as Toronto. Most people would tell you that Toronto and Milwaukee are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference this year. But you can't discount Boston because you know how talented they are. And because they're so talented, you simply can't ignore it. And what you have to do is look at the Boston Celtics, particularly the way they shot the ball against Indiana in the first round. Kyrie Irving shoot 42% from three-point range. Okay, Jaylen Brown, same number, 42.9% from three-point range. Gordon Hayward, 44%. Jason Tatum, 53%. Marcus Morris, 35% rather. So they're hitting threes, and I believe if the Boston Celtics are hitting threes, they can beat anybody. Because I think that ultimately the perimeter shooting will propel Boston to be in every game for the last 3 minutes, and then is when you give the ball to Kyrie. And I think if Kyrie has the ball in those last few minutes, special things happen. That's just my belief. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Eric. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's up, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
I just like to remind everybody of an old saying that might be appropriate these days, and that saying is, for those who forget the past, they are destined to repeat it. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to know if everybody knows where that saying came from.
Well, I don't know if everybody can answer that because you ain't talking to everybody. So go ahead and tell everybody where it came from.
Okay, that saying was over a real famous or infamous man named Jim Jones from the Jonestown Massacre. Mm-hmm. And another saying came out, these people were the ones who drank the Kool-Aid. I understand how people get offended by the past and by things that great people or not so great people did in the past. But if you want to erase the past, then you're running the risk of repeating it again in the future. The reason why we let things happen there is so it's a constant reminder of just how bad things were back then, so that we don't.
May I ask you a question?
Now. Sure.
May I ask you a question, Eric? Let me ask you this question. It's one thing to remember and reflect on the past, but isn't that different than celebrating it?
In celebrating it, yes. But celebration.
Well, I'm saying because I think that's what you have. I think that's what people have a problem with. It's not like people don't want to know about Kate Smith and don't want to know what she did or anything like that. It's the notion that it warrants a celebration. You know, that the Flyers would treat her in such a deified manner, erecting a statue of her outside, you know, in Philadelphia. You know, stuff like that. I think that's what people are talking about, which is why the Flyers removed the statue of her from outside the arena.
Okay, but when people celebrate, it also says a lot about the people who are celebrating it, and that also can be a learning experience, too. Look at who's celebrating those ideals. Learn from that, and then recognize it in the future if those ideals surface again.
Okay. All right. I understand. I appreciate the call, Eric. Thank you so much. Let's go to Freddie. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Freddie?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, my man?
I'm all right. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the Warriors, right? As far as Kevin Durant, if he leaves and the Warriors get like another championship, I'll be satisfied, you know? It's like, say for instance, it's like you being with a girl, right? And y'all been doing your thing for a while, and she decides to leave. It's like, okay, go ahead. I'm happy. You know?
No. Well, first of all, you're lying. That's a horrible analogy. Because if you have a relationship, speaking as a man, if you have a relationship with a woman and she is making you happy, you don't feel like it's all right if she leaves. There's a whole bunch of broken hearts walking around in this world out here by men and women. Because why would your heart be broken if you aren't happy? If you aren't happy and you depart from somebody, why would you not be okay? You're happy because guess what? You weren't happy anyway when you were with them. But if you were ecstatic when you were with them, if you were in bliss when you were with them, if you were in love when you were with them and happy, hell no, you don't want that to end. That's the kind of stuff. I mean, the world is filled with individuals who passed away or relegated themselves to a life of misery due to a broken heart now.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you. And then also,
go ahead,
right,
make your last point. Go ahead.
Okay, with Kate Smith, it seems like I'm not trying to get on your boy Will Kane, but it seems like he always trying to make an excuse for the racist behavior.
Okay. Well, you can say that. I don't view it that way. It depends on it. You know, there are times when Will and I butted heads because I've gotten the impression about a particular instance in question. But for the most part, I don't find that to be the case with him, A. And B, and more importantly, listen, why are we worried about the messenger? What about the message? The man asked a question. Why don't you give me an answer to that, Freddie? If you want Kate Smith's statue removed and you don't want her rendition of God Bless America played at games, what do you do with the George Washingtons and the Ben Franklins who were slave owners? What do you do about a Lyndon B. Johnson who used the N-word all the time and used it in talking about Thurgood Marshall as the first black that was going to be put on the Supreme Court? What do you do if you want to eradicate history or omit yourself from history in that regard as it pertains to the Kate Smiths of the world? What about others who ask, what do you do about all the others who engaged in heinous racist rhetoric and beyond, who have been celebrated in American history? What do you do with them? How about answering that question instead of attacking the messenger? Let's focus on the message.
Okay, look, that wasn't the question, right? The question was about K. Smith. Now, in time when the questions come,
no, that was my question. That was my question when I asked it at the beginning of the show. I specifically asked that question at the beginning of the show. That's what I thought you was calling about.
Okay, yeah, but all of it was wrong.
Go ahead.
I mean, that's my opinion.
All right.
That's my opinion. All of it was wrong. But you take care of that. You
Okay.
have a good day. Okay.
All right, you do the same, man. No problem. Take it easy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, Golick and Wingo on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll be live this Thursday and Friday from Nashville, Tennessee for the NFL Draft.